Well, as we're heading into the last minute, of course, of the show, the last 29 minutes, and of course, from all the way we started from the morning time, but of course, now as we're winding this up. Now, still the topic of discussion is onto the localization of agriculture systems into East Africa, and how best can we improve this? And of course, we've been seeing it from a number of different angles as a result of that. And like I told you, when we get back, I shall be taking a look at how have the GMOs, the genetically modified organisms, affected the localization that is of agriculture systems within East Africa. Now, genetically modified organisms have had a significant impact on agriculture localization in Uganda and East Africa. And like I said, on the other hand, they have helped to increase yields, but however, they are a big issue when it comes to environmental security, sustainability, and the rights to small-scale farmers. Now, of course, we know that the different countries in East Africa each have different policies in relation to GMOs.
GMOs.
Yeah.
What I know about GMOs, of course, productivity is increased, What you expected to grow within 4 years grows within 2 years, and you're up and running in the market, selling here and there, and it helps farmers actually with income. You're getting fast income, crops are growing at a faster rate, but then you realize it affects the environment and the individuals as well, because they're genetically modified, they're not organic.
And also one thing people need to understand is that of course, people are aware that GMOs are not, you can't, for example, if you grow maize from a GMO, you can't plant again those maize seeds. That means you have to buy again seeds. So that leads to excessive dependency. And the funny thing, in Europe, they have what we call, I don't know the actual name to call it, but probably I'm just going to speak in a lay term. You'll be able to get it. They have some sorts of stores where they keep indigenous seeds. Oh. Real seeds.
The real seeds, the organic ones.
Organic seeds, which you can plant, grow, and then plant again back in the ground. They do have them. And surprisingly in Africa, I don't know why we've not really taken such initiatives to make sure that we have such, because these nations are actually so much aware of what is coming ahead.
Once I actually purchased a mango, and how when you have a mango seed, like growing up, you have a mango seed, then you plant it, then maybe it a bit grows. Yeah. When I planted, then there was nothing. It just remained as a seed, like, I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So that is the impact of the GMOs that we consume. You have to go back and buy. There is no...
Buy the seeds.
Buy the seeds again. So that is one of the disadvantages they have. And of course, health-wise, they're not healthy. So anyway, I've seen a campaign someone did of advocating for organic consumption of foods. But then you cannot know what is organic and what is not these days.
You can't tell. I mean, if there is a unique test when it comes to
the local.
You can test something artificial, and something that artificial by nature, you're designed to know that this is
the generation that we are raising. I don't think they have tested natural things.
Maybe if that's what
you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference because you know the mangoes of the village, how they test, and then you can compare with what you get on the market. If you can go and purchase one.
Very true, very true on that. Now, of course, as we proceed with the discussion, we see that in Uganda, the introduction of GMO cotton, genetically modified cotton, has led to increased yields and incomes for farmers. But however, we see that there has been concerns about the impact of this GMO cotton, and that is on the environment and the health for the cotton farmers. But anyway, before I even proceed in further, we have some statistics here which bring out the contribution of the genetically modified organisms on agriculture localization in Uganda and East Africa. Of course, later on we shall be proceeding with this. I will say that in Uganda, the area planted with GMO cotton increased from 2,000 hectares in 2004 to over 100,000 hectares in 2017. Wow. So the biggest, you see over the years, increasing to that. And same we see that in Kenya, the area planted with GMO maize increased from 0 hectares in 2012. So by 2012, Kenya already didn't have any land for that. We already had at least 2,000. And in 2012, over 200,000 hectares for GMO maize. And in Tanzania, the area planted with GMO cassava is expected to reach, that is about 200,000 hectares. That is by 2025. Yeah, I mentioned something about sugar and cotton, of course, increasing the yields and incomes for the farmers. But unfortunately, this other aspect of, the health is also considered. Now, still in Kenya, the GMO maize, the introduction of the GMO maize, of course, has also increased yields and reduced food insecurity in Kenya. But however, they are also concerned about the impact of this maize on the environment and the small-scale farmers, like you can see. Now, in Tanzania, the introduction of the GMO cassava, yes, like you can see, we see actually which is expected to reach 200,000 hectares by 2025. Now, this GMO cassava is expected to increase yields and reduce food insecurity, still in Tanzania. But there is also concerns of the environment and the rights of the small-scale farmers, and despite that. So we can see how these GMOs are really looking into, and they seem to be one of the hindrance, or what we call a stumbling block. Now, the genetically modified organisms have had a significant impact on agriculture localization, that is in Uganda and in East Africa. On the one hand, GMOs have also helped to increase agricultural productivity and incomes for farmers. And GMOs have also raised concerns about food security, environmental sustainability, as we can see, and rights over the small-scale farmers. I don't know how you observe that, Mercy.
Well, of course, you can see with productivity, it increases, but when it comes to health issues and it has a little bit of problems around it. But of course, even in Uganda, I see that scientists developed GMO cassava that is resistant to cassava brown stalk disease.
Yeah.
They're trying as much as they can to do away with pests and diseases. So it is good actually, because you have cassava that doesn't have any pests or diseases, but then the people consuming it, you have to really consider the people that are consuming it. And that is why they say some of our products are substandard, because they have a lot of aflatoxins, and it's affecting our business. Now imagine the people that had maize that time, and the trucks were held for days, actually, not even hours, for days. Imagine that. So the damage that they already had, they were adding on the already damage that they already had. By the time they reached to the market there, I don't think people would approve to buy the maize. So what we need to do is go back to the local ways of doing things, okay? Use manure, you have livestock, the dung and all that, collect it. Put it in your garden. You have waste. You've had peelings of matoke and all that. Use it, okay? And of course, I've seen this scenario where in the poultry that, because it's on high demand, everyone wants to eat chicken and all that. So in Uganda now, injections of the ARVs into the chicken, and you see a chicken is like 2 weeks old, but it's humongous. And you're like, what is it feeding on? What is it feeding on?
What is wrong with it?
What is wrong with it? So you see the demand also has and it affects also the way people do business. So the demand is on. People are like, oh, let me use this the fastest speed so that I can supply. And of course, you're supplying. Someone needs like 1,000 chickens, and you're like, oh God, how am I going to do it? So you see, it is also affecting. Though the demand is actually good, but then the process in which you take to deliver what you're supposed to deliver.
Okay.
Is it authentic? Yeah.
Very interesting. And of course, that is the discussion that is relating to that. localization of agriculture systems that is within East Africa. And of course, today we decided to really see how best these, because we have exported most of these raw materials to these other countries at the expense of the local markets, yet these very countries, what they use for these raw materials can actually be made here. And we are spending again much more money to these particular, as we are buying back the finished products from the raw materials that we exported to those countries. And at the end of the day, it all comes back to us. Yes, so we've seen the genetically modified organisms. Just to give you a recap, like we had said, the GMO cotton, 2,000 hectares in 2004, that is to over 100 hectares in 2017. And in Kenya, the area planted with GMO maize increased from 0 hectares to, in 2012 to over 200,000 hectares in 2020. And in Tanzania, the area planted with GMO cassava, like we say, is expected to reach 200,000 hectares, like we have seen. And that is by 2025. Yes, so it's the responsibility that is of we individuals to make sure that we actually take this initiative, we participate collectively. We've also been seeing the aspect of how individuals can actually impact localization of these same products, how we can impact on the localization of agriculture systems that is within Africa. And one of the ways we can boost food security, because we need to worry less about what to eat, but we should always focus on what we have left for us to save for future investments. In that way, we shall be very relevant citizens to our economies, and it will definitely foster economic growth and development. Well, that is it for what we had for you for today on the show. It was 17 minutes to the top of the hour, and of course we're very grateful from all the way we started from. That is with the morning call with Mercy and Godwin, with the latest updates, what is happening in the press, and so many related aspects as a result of that. So yeah, we came in down, been breaking down these matters of the GMOs, and we've seen from the impact, real life scenarios, and so many of those perspectives. Yeah, it's quite a very interesting weather, and quite cold, very interesting for such a topic at such a time, because we need to plant if we had to focus on the agriculture. Well, still to remind you, channel 372, that is on DSTV, channel 320 on GOTV, and you can also get us on free to air as we deliver to you these business updates. And you also, if you're that kind of a person that is obsessed with having gadgets, you can really go to Google Play Store and download the Smart TV application. This will enable you to have, what you need. You'll be able to stream actually the Smart 24 TV anywhere that you will be at. You can also reach us on our YouTube handle, that is at Smart 24 TV Live, Smart 24 TV, that's on Twitter, Smart 24 TV Official, that's on Facebook, and get us in there. And also visit our official website, smart24.tv, where you can also be in position to get the updated business facts, business facts all the way in, and that will be very still quite efficient for you. And also you can come to our home at Plot 42, that is 9 Avenue. We can discuss more matters to do with business. How can we partner? How can we help each other to achieve the visions of each individual from that way? And also my Twitter handle, the smart, that is at Andrew Barija 94. So you hit me up. Let's have a discussion. Masi, what's your Twitter handle?
Oh, well, my Twitter handle is M. Kaslin, AKACIELYN. And of course, you can catch me up and of course, hit me and let me know what needs to be done, whichever topics that you want us to be done. But of course, today we're talking about the localization of agriculture, and of course, just before we leave, and maybe that one of the challenges that we could be facing, maybe that could be addressed in the nearby future, that is affecting localization of agriculture in our country, is actually the the reliance on imported food. Realize that most people in Uganda actually are dominantly relying on imported foods. They do not want to actually embrace what we have in our very own gardens. You know, they prefer the condiments, you know, ketchup, tomato paste, Nutella, Nido, you know, all the powdered products that we have. And of course, also the fact that lack of land and resources. Yes, land is being occupied recently. You know, people are building houses, you know, the land that was always vacant, people are building industries there. So that is one of the challenges that is really hindering the localization of agriculture in the country. And of course, awareness is also key. There is lack of awareness. People need to be educated to know the value of you know, embracing our locally produced produce, embracing agriculture as the forefront of seeing our economy thrive, and of course us prospering. So if we have the produce with us, and of course and add value, definitely we'll be exporting and getting much more income and revenue for ourselves as individuals, and of course as a country as a whole. And of course that is it for localization of agriculture in Africa, and of course Uganda being part of Africa. Let's embrace what we have in our very nations.
Well, I guess we shall link up tomorrow. Have yourselves a very wonderful morning.
Smart 24.